guys, it's Gretchen and welcome back to my channel. Alright, so for today's video, I thought I would do a kind of Q&A, but specifically a Pearson Q&A. So on Instagram, I put up a story and I said, hey, if you've got any questions for me regarding Pearsons, send them my way to be featured in a video. So that's what today's video is going to be. I have not looked at any of the responses yet. I don't know if these are going to be questions like about me and my Pearsons or just like Pearsons in general. So I guess we'll find out together. We're going to go ahead, start in on this. What is the one Pearson you would never get? All right, so for me, personally, the one Pearson I would never get. All right, so it's not just like one Pearson, it's like a Pearson setup. It's the corset thing, the one that goes on the back. I'll find a picture and put it up. I've only seen that once in person and just, it looks painful. It just looks, like what if that got caught on something? Just like ripped it because you like lace a ribbon through it and it's really pretty. But like what if something got stuck on one of the hooks and then pulled it and then like the rest are, So it's not like one Pearson in particular, it's like a whole set that I wouldn't get. Because I'd be open to any ear piercings, any face piercings. I'd be open to, you know, the tatas, maybe the hoo-ha, maybe. Mostly no, but you never say never for that. But I definitely don't think I would get that on my back. Actually, I'll probably go ahead and say no, I wouldn't get my hoo-ha done either. No pootie tang action. I don't need that. I don't need that. So if we're thinking like a specific Pearson, down there, but like a setup back there. That was eloquent. Was there a noticeable change when you switched from surgical steel to implant grade titanium jewelry? Yes, at least I thought so. I found that when I was pierced with the surgical steel jewelry, my body just doesn't react to it well. I get bumps, I get crusties, it just doesn't seem to heal. That's why sometimes I change my jewelry a little earlier than you should to titanium because my body reacts so much better to titanium. I find that the bumps don't necessarily go away, you know, instantly, but they do decrease in size. There's also less of a secretion that comes from the Pearson site. You know, sometimes you get like the oozing and all that fun jazz. Crusties aren't as prevalent. Yes, they come up every so often. That's just the nature of a Pearson. But I find that when I make the switch for jewelry, that everything is just lessened and is less noticeable and just less of a pain to deal with. It doesn't disappear overnight, like the issues, but I just noticed that there is something noticeably different when I switch. What do you think is the best Pearson for starters? Mostly talking about ears. Helix ones, definitely. So like any of these outer cartilage ones. If you are just getting into Pearsons, I wouldn't say go straight for the Doth. I will continue to pronounce it like that. I might do a whole video on that just because I'm tired of people trying to correct me. But I wouldn't go for something like that. Maybe even a conch. I mean, I found the conch to be pretty darn easy to deal with. Some people don't, but I would definitely say any of the outer helix ones up here or the conch, just because they're a little bit easier to deal with and to clean, if that makes sense. How long did your septum take to heal? Not long at all. So I got it pierced March 2017, and then I had to change it for my weight loss surgery in April 2017, and I changed it no problem. Had no issues. I definitely say that it was healed after 2 months, like no longer than that. It was probably the easiest Pearson I have ever had to deal with, healing wise, cleaning wise, anything like that. It's still by far my favorite Pearson, and just I've never had any issues with it. Will you get a double nostril on one side? I've talked about this before that I want a double nostril. I'm leaning more towards a high nostril because there are two variants of a high nostril. There's where you have your regular Pearson and then directly above it you have another one. I'm looking more at the one that goes a little bit higher up on either side. Shannon Guns, who is a DJ host on Sirius XM for multiple channels, has a double high nostril Pearson, and I'm in love with it. And that's the kind that I would want, where it's not directly above your one down here, but it's more like up here. So it's not a bridge, but it's like two on either side up here. That's what I would do. Would you switch your jewelry to high end? Like Maria Tosh, BVLA, Body Gems, etc. I've never heard of any of those companies. My jewelry is high end. It comes from my Pearson studio that I go to, and I want to say it is all animetal. I don't know how to pronounce it. I'll put it here, but that's all it is, and that's a really high quality jewelry. So now wait a minute. When you say high end, does that mean like fancy and ritzy? Or do you still mean quality? Because like, I'd like cute jewelry in there, but I have to pick quality over how it looks, if that makes sense, just because my ears are so sensitive. So yeah, do you mean high end as in like fancy and like ritzy, like name brand, or do you mean like quality? Best way to clean a new Pierson, specifically a double helix. H2 lotion is gonna be your friend. Also, there is a soap lotion that I absolutely adore, especially if there is a Pierson that is just not quite healing. I will link that below. Pretty sure it's on Amazon. I forget the name of it. Again, I'll put it here just because I can't remember any names today apparently. But it is amazing. I just take a Q-tip, I wet the end of it, I put a little bit of that soap on there, and then just clean around it, and it is amazing. It's the best stuff. It's like Pavlov. I can't remember. And I'll post the name as well as the link because that's like the most amazing thing. But H2 Ocean, if you don't want to make your own solution, you can spray it directly on there. I always use a Q-tip. A lot of people say don't do that because the little fuzzies can get stuck around there. Whatever's easiest. I want to do that twice a day minimum, especially for new ones. And don't turn them. I don't care what anyone says. Do not turn your Piersons or the jewelry. Don't turn them like they tell you at Claire's. What is your go-to remedy for Pierson bumps? Just got one on my month-old tragus. Honey, your Pierson's only a month old. You're gonna get them. But basically to do a sea salt paste, that's always been my go-to. Just make a concoction. I always just put some, so like say when I got a bump on my rook, I would take some of that paste, put it on there. I'd let it sit for about 20 minutes or so. Depending on the bump, like when I had the bump over here on this one, oh my God, I let that sit like overnight. Does wonders. So just look up a sea salt paste, not a soak. Soaks work too, but my go-to is a paste because like you can leave it on there and it'll do its work, whatever. But make sure that you get the measurements correct because you don't want to irritate it anymore by doing too much salt. But you also want it to actually do something, so you don't want to do too little salt. So just look up a recipe. Do you have experience with threadless jewelry? Thoughts? Yes, I do. Actually, pretty much all of my jewelry is threadless. You just push it in. That's how it is. I absolutely love threadless jewelry. It's so easy. It fits to your Pierson specifically. Everything I have in except for my tunnels is threadless. So I think threadless jewelry is amazing. How long did it take for your cartilage to no longer hurt? Some of them still hurt. My double helix, bottom one is fine. The top one still hurts. And I got that done in 2016. Just hit or miss. Some days are worse than others. There's no definitive line. I mean, this one, my single one up here, which was my first one, that took like 3 years for it to fully heal. Just depends on the body. Is it easy to put in a hoop? Depends on which Pierson you're putting it in. Are you putting it in any of your ear ones? Or are you putting it in your nose? I find putting it in your ear a little bit easier than putting it in your nose. It also depends on which one in your ear you're putting it in. I'm not a fan of hoops, let's put it that way. Which Pierson for you has been the toughest to heal and which one has been the best? Septum, definitely the best. Worst, definitely the Jaith/Doth. I will link why I say that up here because that is a fun video to watch. Pictures included. How do you sleep with your fresh or irritated Piersons? Okay, I'm probably the worst person to ask this because I always start off on my back when I have a brand new Pierson. I am not a back sleeper. I am very much a side sleeper. I don't particularly stay to one side. I swap in my sleep. I try and like punch a hole into my pillow to put my ear in, and I try those those travel pillows that have the cutout in them, and I sleep like that. Apparently I fling it in my sleep. Yeah, not the best one to ask about that because yeah, when I'm unconscious, my body's just like, nope, we're gonna do what we wanna do. Why don't you have a forward helix? What do you think about it? I've thought about a forward helix. Like, I always see people get the triple forward helix. I'm not sure I'd get a triple. Maybe I would, I don't know. I have thought about it before. The only reason why I haven't is because it's such a thin piece of cartilage up there that I feel like it probably hurts a lot. I don't know why I feel like thicker cartilage hurts less than like thin, but this just feels like it's sensitive up there to me. So I don't know. If I did do it, it would probably be on this side, just because I feel like with the rook right there, there's too much going on. So if I did get a forward helix, it would be over here. I would start off with one at first, maybe work my way to a double or a triple. Are you planning a lip piercing this year? You said you wanted a labrae. I want one so bad. I want one so bad, but I'm still torn about whether I want this one or this one. Sound off below which one you think is better for me, for my face, for what I've got going on. I lean more toward the Medusa Philtrum, but I also just really like this one a lot. I don't know. But I hope this year I can get it done. We'll see. How do you deal with people's negative reactions to so many Piersons? I keep getting them. First of all, I am so sorry that you're getting negative reactions, but unfortunately there are a lot of closed-minded people in the world, and you just gotta deal with stupidity, unfortunately. How do I deal with them? I just remind myself that I'm so much better than they are. I mean, just kidding, they're probably fine people, they just are closed-minded, but whatever. I usually just ignore it, or I just say, you know, it's not for everyone, but then I remind myself that I'm a badass, and it's all good. How do they, Piersons, affect how you're received in a work setting? For example, they're so unprofessional. My work setting is actually really amazing. It's very progressive, which kind of shocks me because I went to the school that I work for, and it wasn't exactly the most progressive place then, but no one really bats an eye at any of my Piersons. I mean, I know when I worked for a K through 12 setting, no one said anything to me about it, and I hid my septum one just to appease people. So I had one less thing in people's faces. But then I got to the point where I was like, you know what I do to my body does not determine how I am professionally. And so I've kind of forced this on people, and it's been received pretty well. My supervisor really thinks it's awesome what I've got going on, so shout out to her. Starter jewelry, pros and cons to not going studs versus hoops. Okay, so what I'm taking that as like which one would be better for starter jewelry and like the pros and cons of them. That's what I'm kind of getting from that. So for me personally, starter jewelry, I always do studs. Hoops to me, at least this is what I think. When you do a hoop in a brand new Pierson, you know how hoops curve? I feel like with a brand new Pierson, if you put something in it that's curved, the hole is gonna curve, if that makes sense. Like it's gonna try and heal or heal up to the shape of that jewelry. So that's why I always start with a stud. The good thing about hoops though is that it has a lot of room in case you swell. So it gives you a lot of room to expand, like your site. Pierson site gives it a lot of room to expand, but usually when you get a stud, they give you a longer one to accommodate for that. So I don't have really many pros or cons for them, but I personally prefer studs just because it is a straight piece of jewelry. Usually there's enough room to accommodate for swelling, and it's just easier to deal with. There may be others that think complete opposite. And the final question is, how do I convince my parents for a Pierson? That depends on a few factors. First, how old are you? That really shouldn't determine whether or not you should get a Pierson or not, but it might contribute to why your parents wouldn't want you to get a Pierson. I'm not gonna sit there and be like, yo, if you want a Pierson, go out, whether you got their permission or not, you know, well, if you're underage, then you can't get it. But I would say start small, because sometimes parents are can be a little concerned if you go full-fledged into it. Start small. Nose piercings and like helix piercings are very common now. So are belly button piercings. Maybe start with a piercing that can be hidden easily. So like a helix one over here, my hair easily hides it. Belly button piercing, you can usually hide that. Nose piercing, a little bit harder to hide. But you can also explain to your parents that they do make jewelry called retainers, which makes it easier to hide. But I would definitely start small and work your way there. Try and find pictures of like what it would look like on a person. I don't know. I never had to convince my parents because I was not into piercings or tattoos when I was in high school. And then when I finally was, I mean, I was like 24 years old, so I could have done it on my own. So I never had to convince them of anything. I would just say start easy with your requests. Don't go full on into like septum or lip or eyebrow. Start small and easy. spicy. Does that make sense? All right, so those are some questions that I received for this Q&A. Let me know in the comments below if you'd like me to do more of those. I only opened it up on Instagram, so if you're not following me on there, very sorry that you missed out on that. But if you are interested in me doing more Pearson Q&As or any kind of Q&A, let me know in the comments below and I will open it up onto YouTube, like underneath the community tab or something like that. But that is it for this video. If you enjoyed it, please give it a big ol' thumbs up. Go on down there, hit that subscribe button, 2 fingers, wherever it may be, because I don't know. Even though I do, this is just my shtick now. Also hit that notification bell in case you want to know when I upload, and in case YouTube wants to let you know when I upload, because I would really appreciate it. And until next time, bye guys!